I live alone in a quiet two-bedroom apartment on the edge of Fort Collins, Colorado. It's the kind of place where the loudest thing you hear at night is the hum of your refrigerator or the occasional creak of the floorboards as the building settles. I've always liked the silence, until it started hiding things from me. It began subtly, a spoon in the sink I didn't use. My running shoes placed by the door when I swore I'd left them in the closet. Then a post-it note stuck to my bathroom mirror. Buy milk. The handwriting looked like mine, but the ink was blue. I never write in blue. At first, I brushed it off. Stress maybe, long hours at work, lack of sleep. But when I started waking up disoriented in rooms I didn't remember entering, with clothes changed, showers taken, meals eaten that I didn't recall cooking, I knew it wasn't just stress. It was something deeper. Something was happening while I was gone. One night, I set up my old laptop to record. I aimed the webcam at my bed and hit record before going to sleep. When I watched the footage the next morning, I expected to see myself tossing and turning, but what I saw made my blood run cold. At 2:37 a.m., I sat up in bed, eyes wide open, and stared directly into the camera. I smiled, but it wasn't my smile. It was subtle, but wrong. The eyes were too still, the head tilted just a few degrees too far. The corners of the lips curved with something that felt practiced, detached. And then I stood up and walked out of frame. For 2 hours, nothing. When I returned, I was wearing a jacket I didn't own. I didn't sleep for the next 2 nights. Instead, I combed through every drawer, every closet, every file on my phone and computer. I found nothing incriminating until I opened the drawer in the guest bedroom. Inside, a small black notebook I'd never seen before. The cover was worn as if handled often. Inside, in blue ink, were dozens of entries, short phrases, numbers, names, all written in my handwriting. The first page read, "You don't remember her yet, but you will." Below that, a name, Allie Vance. That name meant nothing to me. I looked it up online. She worked at a pharmacy downtown. 26, red hair, soft smile in the photo. 2 days later, she was on the local news. Missing. Last seen leaving work, walking home. Blood found near an alley. No body. And I knew. Somewhere deep inside, I already knew. I didn't go to the police. What would I say? "Hi, I think I killed someone in my sleep, but it wasn't me." No. I did what any broken, terrified man would do. I tried to erase it from my mind, burned the notebook, threw the jacket in a dumpster 3 miles away, deleted the footage. But the erasing didn't work. The dreams came instead. I saw her, Allie, her face, not screaming, smiling, whispering something I couldn't hear, her mouth moving silently, her eyes locked on mine. When I woke up, my hands were clenched so tightly the nails had drawn blood. And then I started hearing him. At first, it was a voice in the back of my mind, my own voice, but not quite. Like someone mimicking me after watching too many home videos. He would say things like, "You never would have had the courage. She looked at me, not you. We're just getting started." I began losing time again. Hours gone. Waking up in unfamiliar clothes, smelling cologne I'd never worn. A bottle of whiskey on my kitchen counter, half empty. I've been sober since college. One night, I followed myself. It was after sunset. I set an alarm to wake me up every hour, just in case. At 1:43 a.m., I opened my eyes to find myself not in bed, but standing fully dressed in the hallway, holding my car keys. Heart racing, I made the choice to stay conscious, to not let him take over. I followed where my body wanted to go. We drove. 10 minutes into the city, parked by an apartment complex I didn't recognize. My legs moved on their own. I forced myself into control, gripping a lamppost like a man drowning, just to stop walking. Inside my pocket, I found a folded note. Blue ink. 4B, she's asleep. Go easy this time. I vomited into the street. I made it home at dawn. Every second after that, I locked myself inside, boarded the windows, threw away every sharp object I could find. I even tied my wrist to the bed frame before sleeping. Didn't matter. A week later, I opened a drawer I hadn't touched in months. Inside, a torn, blood-stained blouse, pale pink, a price tag still attached. Allie's name was written on the tag in blue ink, and I screamed until my throat gave out, because now I understood. He wasn't just living inside me, he was hunting from within. And I was his perfect disguise. I stopped leaving the apartment, not out of fear of the world, but fear of myself. Fear of who might wake up in my body when I blinked too long or stared too hard into the dark corners of the room. I nailed my bedroom door shut from the inside. I shoved furniture against the front door. My phone stayed off. My laptop remained closed. But it wasn't enough. The voice had stopped whispering. Now it talked freely, confident, like it was the one in charge and I was just tagging along. You never asked why you're still alive. You think this guilt is punishment. No, this is permission. Sometimes, I'd catch glimpses in the mirror, my reflection turning its head slower than I did, blinking at the wrong time. Once, I watched it smile before I even moved a muscle. That smile again, controlled, almost proud. I bought a pair of handcuffs, chained myself to the radiator at night, threw the key down the garbage disposal. Still, I woke up outside, in the backyard, in the bathtub. Sitting on the edge of the roof, always with something new in my pocket, a woman's earring, a matchbook from a bar I'd never visited, a receipt for a bus ticket I hadn't purchased. Then came the dream, the one that broke me. I was standing in a narrow hallway lined with mirrors, but none of the reflections matched. Some versions of me were smiling, some crying. One was covered in blood. One looked directly at me and mouthed, "You're the last." When I woke up, there was blood on my shirt. My hands were clean. My face was wet with tears I didn't remember shedding. That morning, the news was worse than usual. They'd found a camera, hidden behind a dumpster in an alley near the pharmacy. Footage showed a man following Allie. Me. But the image was wrong. Too tall, shoulders broader, hair darker. I zoomed in, frame by frame. My face, but not my eyes. Cold, mechanical, like they were wearing my skin. And then, I saw it, the moment the figure turned toward the lens. He smiled. That smile. And waved. Directly at me. He knew I'd be watching. That's when I knew what I had to do. Not run. Not confess. Not even hide. I had to kill him. Even if it meant killing myself. I stopped checking the news. I couldn't bear to see another headline that mirrored my nightmares. I unplugged the TV, deleted the apps, and covered the mirrors in my apartment with bed sheets and duct tape, anything to avoid him, but he found other ways in. I started dreaming of places I'd never been, grimy motel rooms, empty parking garages, abandoned houses with rot crawling up the walls. In those dreams, I wasn't watching from behind his eyes anymore. I was watching him from the outside, and always there was someone else there. Someone crying, someone begging, and then silence. Each time I woke, my hands ached like I'd been gripping something. My mouth was dry and coppery, like I'd been screaming for hours. One morning, my fingernails were chipped and dirty, and I found deep scratches on the inside of my palms, as if I'd been trying to hold on to something I wasn't meant to. I couldn't keep pretending I was in control, so I did something desperate. I called my older brother, first time in 3 years, told him I needed help. He sounded skeptical, like he didn't know who was really speaking. But he agreed to meet me at our old childhood park the next morning. I barely slept that night. My mind throbbed with static, like an old TV left on a dead channel. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw flashes, a woman's hand slamming against glass, headlights in the forest, a staircase drenched in red. When I got to the park, I waited on a bench under the gray light of morning. My brother arrived 5 minutes later. I stood to wave, and he froze. He didn't wave back. He just stood there, face pale, eyes locked on mine like I was some stranger. Then he turned and walked away without a word. I called after him, ran to catch up. But by the time I reached the sidewalk, he was gone. Later that day, I got a text from an unknown number. "Nice try, he knows it's me now." That night, I found a fresh message carved into my bedroom wall, right through the drywall, deep and deliberate. "You can't kill what you don't own." That's when the panic gave way to something worse, the understanding that I was no longer just losing time. I was losing territory. And the body we shared? It wasn't mine anymore. It was his battlefield. I stopped pretending I was going to survive this. I started writing goodbye letters, one for each person I'd ever hurt or ignored. Some of the names were mine. Some I didn't recognize. I mailed them anyway. Maybe someone would understand what happened here. Maybe someone would remember me. Because I was starting to forget myself. I caught glimpses of reflections that didn't line up. One night, I passed a storefront and saw a man staring back. A thicker beard, a different haircut, a faint scar on the cheek. I touched my own face. Smooth. It wasn't just the mind anymore. He was changing the body too. One morning, I woke up to find every drawer in my apartment pulled open. Inside each one, laid out like evidence, were women's belongings, necklaces, scarves, a strand of hair taped to an index card, receipts from towns I'd never been to. In the bottom drawer, a driver's license. Allie Vance. It had been cut in half. And tucked beneath it, a piece of paper. One word. Run. But I didn't run, because I had nowhere left to go. Instead, I waited for the night. I sat in the bathroom floor, trembling, gripping a pair of scissors I had dug out of the wall behind the toilet, one of the few places he hadn't claimed. When the mirror above the sink began to ripple, I knew he was coming. My reflection turned toward me, slowly, lips moving without sound. Then the voice filled the room, not from my ears, but from inside my skull. "You'll never be strong enough." I screamed. I fought. With every ounce of strength, I lifted the scissors and drove them into my chest, through the muscle, through the pain, through the resistance. And then, silence. No voice. No twitch. No smile. Just me. Bleeding. Alone. And free. When I opened my eyes again, I was in a hospital bed. White ceiling. 4 in my arm. Beeping machines. The light was soft, artificial, and clean. A nurse appeared, startled to see me awake. I whispered, "He's gone. I'm in control now." She smiled politely, then tilted her head. "You're awake, Mr. Lawton. Good. We were just doing your routine checkup." "Checkup?" I asked. I was admitted for. "You've already been discharged 3 weeks ago, don't you remember?" Her voice cracked slightly at the end. She was watching me too closely, carefully. I sat up. My body didn't hurt the way it should have. My chest, where the scissors had gone, was bandaged, but I could feel no wound. No burning, just a dull pressure. I turned toward the window. A man was reflected in the glass. Beard, dyed hair, not mine. I reached into my pocket slowly, feeling something bulky, metallic. Pulled it out under the blanket, unseen. A dagger, cold, heavy, dried blood on the blade. The nurse was still speaking, but her words were distant now. I looked again at the reflection. It smiled. He had won. The room dimmed, or maybe it was my vision narrowing. The reflection, his reflection, stared back at me with quiet satisfaction. The beard was neat, the hair slicked back, the face, mine in structure, but wrong in every other way. Confident, calm, whole. He didn't move like me. He moved like someone who had nothing left to hide. And I realized something that hollowed me out from the inside. I hadn't killed him. I had set him free. The nurse kept talking, asking procedural questions, her voice muffled, like I was underwater. "How are you feeling today, Mr. Lawton?" That name again. Not mine. Not his. Ours. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My fingers gripped the dagger tighter beneath the blanket. I wanted to scream. I wanted to carve his name into the walls, into the bed, into my own skin if it meant proving I still existed. But what if he was doing the same thing, right now, inside my head? You can check out now, she said cheerfully. Your car's outside, right where you left it. I hadn't driven in weeks. She handed me a clipboard with discharge papers. I looked at the signature line. The name was already signed. The pen was still warm. Outside the hospital, the sunlight felt off. Not wrong, just distant, like it belonged to someone else. I walked to the car waiting in the lot. Black, clean, expensive. The key fob was in my coat pocket. I don't own a coat. Inside the glove compartment. A burner phone, a woman's driver's license, a Polaroid. A motel room door, number 6. Blood smeared across it like someone had tried to claw their way back in. I started shaking. Then the phone vibrated. One message. No number. You did great. She screamed less this time. And below that, a voice memo. I didn't press play. I didn't have to, because I knew it was her, Allie, or someone else. Someone new. I sat there, in that stranger's car, staring at hands that were mine, but weren't. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I felt him watching again. Not hiding, not whispering, just waiting. Because he didn't need to fight anymore. He had the keys now. And I was just a passenger.